Ship Test Article 39.1 has its first cryo test in the old can crusher at Massey's. Pad 1 OLM construction equipment spotted at Sanchez. Sean Giesler captures this image of the rebuilt test tank 18.3 as it rolled out of Mega Bay 1 at the build site. And the new roof section for Pad 2's tower is lifted into place at the launch site. Hey there, my name is Matt, and welcome to RGV Aerial Photography's Starbase Flyover Report, episode number 123. This week's flight was conducted in the afternoon on March the 20th. The weather was incredible, which allowed us to bring us another unbelievable set of images so that you can get it caught up to speed with everything in and around Starbase, Texas. Again, we'll be at 11,000 feet this week due to the new TFR. And as usual, we'll begin over at the Massey's testing facility. Starting at the LOX collection pond, we can see that another round of testing has taken place. And once again, the LOX farm still has frost on the pump's manifold and the sub-chillers from said testing. The methane storage tank plumbing has frost in them too, which indicates that this system was also tested. At the flame trench, we can see that the squeeze arms have been removed, but there doesn't seem to be any other noticeable changes to the rest of the test equipment. This week sees the second heat exchanger installed at the water deluge farm. Connections to the liquid nitrogen system have been made, and the water priming circuit has been tapped into so it can be used by this system. Looking at the static fire stand near Mega Bay 2, we can see that a new pipe has been added around the top, and a connecting T has been included on the SQD side. We're speculating that this will be connected to the new nitrogen gas generation system as some kind of an engine bay purge system. Please let us know what you think in the comments below. These previously spotted frames are staged by the flame trench and now appear to be ready for installation onto the test framework. The older LOX tanks have had all of their plumbing removed now, so these tanks are going to be removed soon. The 3 high-pressure helium pumps have also been relocated. In the structural test area, all 20 pull-down rods are now installed around test tank S39.1. An SQD plate has been lifted into place and will have this single actuator attached to it for further tests. On the adjacent side, preparations are underway to connect the aft flap simulator actuators. We spotted vapors coming from S39.1 on March the 23rd. Looking inside the Super Crusher, crews are still installing the outer 20 pull-down actuators with all of their shrouds now in place. The plumbing has been extended to the center of the inner ring, and there's still 2 more pipes on the opposite side as well. All 6 work platforms are now installed, and the top plates have been added to the columns around the outside. The previously removed attachment points for the 5 actuators that attach under the crusher cap are now staged nearby, with work being carried out to reinstall them. The Center 13 thrust sim actuators have been removed from the recently removed center section of the Super Crusher. At the entrance to the site, the concreting of the driveway has reached the land bridge. Rebar has been laid on one side of the bridge, and some of the services buried beneath the road are now continuing further into the site. That's everything at Massey's. Now let's head over to Sanchez. Here's a labeled map to guide you around and get you familiar with all of the areas inside Sanchez. Starting at the transport stand work area, work on Booster Transport 1 has seen no visible changes this week, although we do see that the 10 slides for it have arrived. 10 more slides were also spotted this week in front of the Brownsville Airport storage lot. We captured some ground images of them right before our flyover, and you can just see how beefy these slides really are. Just wow. Assembly of the 4th ship transport stand has started with 10 segments welded together so far, and over here, the last 2 segments have been staged. Then, over at the OLM build area, 3 of the support stands for assembly have reappeared, with the 4th stand and another stand used for survey equipment still arriving by trailer. A second heavy-duty steel assembly has been assembled with the same shape as the first one, but the purpose of this assembly is still unknown. Over at the grid fin testing assembly, an interface has been spotted that mimics where the actuators would be bolted into. Checking on the cladding area, Two sets of panels are staged on trailers awaiting to be installed onto the pre-assembled frames. As you can see, one set has 2 panels and the second set has 5. A new piece of equipment used by the cladding team was also delivered. This item on wheels appears to feature 4 winches with ropes run to pulleys. This is used for guiding the cladding panels being lifted by the crane. Gateway to Mars letters are waiting to be sent to the launch site, and at the time of recording, the words Gateway 2 have already been installed. Over at the scrapyard, 2 more gigabay columns have arrived. These columns are going to form portions of the 6 gigabay level. The first of the potential horizontal transport tables is also being assembled. The plate bearing and mark top interface have been bolted together. Finally, checking over at the modified cryostand, new railings have been recently installed. Just before moving to the build site, we'd like to thank all of our YouTube and Patreon members. Remember that all of our patrons get to participate in our show and tell sessions on the same day of each flight, where you can join in the discussions and ask your own questions on our Discord server. Not only that, but YouTube members also get to watch and join in with the live and always entertaining chat section, where you can learn while also discussing the progress each week. Plus you get to participate with the Flyover stream live as it's happening, while also getting access to the pictures right as they're being taken, so you can be part of the group who gets first access to these amazing shots. We also have our new Tuesday show, which airs live on YouTube at 6 p.m. Central Time, called Starbase Expanded, where we go over all the information and changes since our weekend stream, as well as going over changes to all the external and support facilities of Starbase, like Rio West, the Ad Astra School, and multiple other locations we don't talk about during our weekend show. We also cover many other relevant topics like land swaps and environmental reports, so be sure to check it out so that you can stay on top of literally everything happening in and around Starbase. Starting at the Gigabay construction area, the 4th level of columns is getting closer to completion. At the writing of this episode, all the aisle bridges were complete, and work has started to finish off the 4 corners for the building. The new work in the space between Gigabay and the Star Factory has created a need to add this catch netting to keep any loose items from falling on crews who are working below. At the front right of the building, the first panels of covered cladding have been installed. Each evening, the cladding crew has arrived to install new panels. By the time you're seeing this, work should be progressing along the parking garage side. With concrete now finished on the 2nd and 3rd floors, crews have relocated to the east side of the building where the 4th floor has already been half poured, with rebar ready on the rest of the floor. After working 2 floors at a time for the first round, it appears they might be switching it up and will only work 1 floor at a time now, as there's rebar staged on the 4th floor along the middle, but no evidence of rebar staged on the 5th floor yet. Behind Mega Bay 1, another LTR 1220 has been delivered by Buckner, possibly to assist in the assembly of the expected LR 1300 for use with the installing of cladding on the Gigabay. Hiding over behind the Raptor's nest is one of the sea-level Raptor transport carts. There wasn't much to see at the Mega Bays during the flyover. The only item of interest outside was this short bridge crane, likely for one of the smaller freestanding cranes inside the factory. Between Mega Bay 2 and the Rocket Garden, a test article transport stand is prepped on a pair of SPMTs. It would be moved into Mega Bay 1 on the 22nd and have the newly rebuilt B-18.3 placed on it. In this clip from Avid Space, we can see the test article move into the ring yard on the 23rd and will continue to see preparations before transport to Massey's. This rollout ended up occurring in the early hours of March the 25th. Once again, we thank Avid Space and VIX for this live camera clip. This week, the installation of RVAC engines on Ship 39 has also been seen, with 2 engines crossing the path of Rover 1, one on the 22nd and the other one on the 23rd. Around the back of the factory near Mega Bay 2, a new goods receiving dock has been set up. Moving over to the village, glass installation appears finished on the apartment complex. The balconies need some finishing as well as some other decorative panels. At Starship Park, formwork has started to rise along the footings as the expected display site begins on some above-ground structures. With that, now we can move over to the launch site. If you need some extra time or are unfamiliar with the area, be sure to pause now to browse this week's labeled map of the launch site. With the return of Booster 19 to the production site, the launch mount is once again empty. The retention pond is full, with the trench being pumped over to it. Next to the trench, we can see some scaffolding has been staged. In the days since the static fire, the internal work platform has been reconstructed in the mount. Moving over to the launch tower, the roof was lifted just before the flyover. In this image from Starship Gazer, we can see under the roof. The roof rests with a small gap, attached to the top of the 4 legs with these pinned connections. Additional plates connect to the tower beams and the beams along the balcony. Be sure to give him a follow on X to keep up with his incredible work. Looking down on the staging pad, the alignment marks for SPMT parking have been updated, including rotating the lines for boosters that match recent activity with Booster 19. The lid is also off the vault that may be used for ground side connections for vehicles. The vault appears to be empty at this point. At the D1 entrance, installation of the Gateway to Mars sign is well underway and is nearly done being hung as of the release of this episode. Thanks to Sean Giza for this clip. The excavation at the D2 entrance for the waste tank is now filled in with steel mesh being placed ahead of the finishing of the concrete slab. And now at the pump farm, the new vent can be seen connected below the main LOX lines along the pipe rack. Below, the nitrogen vent system for the booster methane subcooler is receiving an upgrade with a 4th valve. And finally, the second T-pipe to finish the installation is over here by the LOX pumps. Work continues along the tank farm as well. 3 new vaporizers as well as fans for them have been staged nearby to the one that was delivered many weeks ago. It's unclear where any of these will be installed. Heading to the front of the new tanks, a length of the main supply pipe has been removed and replaced with this pipe that has 6 connection points for the new tanks. The methane return line also has a new connection point here between the sets of tanks that will connect to the manifold in front of the 4 existing tanks. Below the new tanks, one of the 2 pedestal foundations is formed with embeds being placed prior to concrete. Near the potential new offload area, mesh is being prepared to complete the concrete parking area. At the ASU, progress continues to be slow. Along this inner bend between the 2 sides, utilities are being backfilled and covered up. Conduit work appears closer to completion around this rectangular area. Soon the installation of water cooling towers and other equipment can finally begin. At Pad 1, jet grouting has resumed on the northern exit of the trench. Sheet piles for the main trench have been installed to the southern edge of the tower foundations. Also, sheets were being installed along the commodities trench during the flyover. And the space behind the bunker is being compacted and appears ready for use as staging space soon. In our weekly wide view, the southwest corner is the focus for filling in the expansion. The small pond area near Pad 2 remains to be filled, likely waiting on it to drain out first. That's it for episode 123 of Starbase Flyover Report. Thank you for choosing RGV Aerial Photography. We really hope you enjoyed this week's flyover. If you like what you saw today, be sure to hit that like button down below. Subscribe and share it to all your friends so you don't miss out on all the new content and live streams that we come out with each and every week. Also, please consider joining RGV's Patreon where you can get the images the day that they're taken and join in on our special show and tell sessions the very same day as the flight. I'm Matt, and I'll see you next week from 11,000 feet.